guys, this is Lord Chael speaking on behalf of our show sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a project based on a Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. They allow you to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so you can officially call yourself a lord or a lady. Established Titles is not just about your ego. You also get to do some good. In addition to your new fancy title, Established Titles supports global charities like One Tree Planet and Trees for the Future to help with the afforestation effort. Your title pack gets you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land in a private estate in Scotland. Your certificate features a unique plot number where you can see the exact location of your land. And right now, Established Titles is holding 200 plots of land right next to mine. So come join me in the Bad Guy Inc. Kingdom. Getting this certificate even allows you to officially change your name to Lord or Lady. Put it on your credit card, put it on your plane tickets, or if you're so inclined, put it on your dating profile. Makes for a great last-minute gift, and there's even couples packs that come with adjoining plots of land. Established Titles is having a great limited-time sale. Go to establishedtitles.com/Chael to save 10% off today. Remember to use the promo code Chael, or just click on the link below. Are we done with he hasn't earned his spot? Are we done with that? Of course, I'm talking about Islam Makhachev. Okay, he's getting ready to fight Charles Oliveira. Let's back the tape up 4 days ago. He doesn't even belong in there. He hasn't earned it. He doesn't deserve it. He's not good enough. Okay, great. Well, that's going to be backed up by the rankings that have Oliveira not only at number 1, pretending that he was champion, not only at number 1, but then the pound-for-pound rankings also recognize Oliveira. I don't have a problem, by the way. I'm definitely not trying to kick Oliveira. I'm just asking, are we done with Islam doesn't belong? Because Islam was not ranked at all. He's now ranked number 3. He went from no ranking to number 3. Did you guys see it that way? I mean, do you see something different in Islam? Did you see a skill over the weekend that you didn't know that Islam possessed? Of course you didn't. Did Islam look any different? Did he have a great night? Was this a wonderful performance? Was training camp different? No, 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 and no. So apparently he did belong. It looks as though we were wrong about that one. But let's go back to the rankings, right? You guys know that I have a big problem with the ranking. But the fact that Islam isn't even recognized, he does absolutely nothing different. He did no skill whatsoever that we haven't seen him do before, and now he's ranked number 3. Can you see where I would have a problem with the rankings? Now, if we're comparing resumes, I will sit down and I will be quiet. But this isn't called a resume search. It's called a ranking search. So how you can go from nothing to 3rd without demonstrating something new, I think it's a fair point by me. I don't think I'm wrong to do that. I did not want to see Islam versus Charles until Charles fought Gaethje. And then I go, my goodness, this guy who I already knew was special is better than I knew he was. Then you started having the boys in the locker room weighing in, guys within the division. They interviewed 755-pound athletes with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. 6 of them publicly took Charles. That was a big surprise to me, but it also added to my anticipation. Saying, okay, Chael, you're not seeing this one right. You've got something wrong here. And there tended to be a theme of the dynamic nature of Charles's game. And we've gone through waves and eras where that is really important. One guy is more well-rounded. Thank goodness we haven't had to hear the term well-rounded, but believe me, this was an expression used on a daily basis for years. And it was meant to be a compliment. It meant a guy knew how to do a takedown, but he also knew how to throw a jab. And then if he could defend a guillotine and perhaps try an armbar, I mean, this guy's going on the cover of Black Belt magazine, and there was a time. I lived through that time. We don't know everything about mixed martial arts. And you will have guys that followed along from the 90s and they're still stuck in some gear from the 90s. Or you'll have the fan that came along in 2020 and knows everything about it without knowing the history of it. I'm only sharing for you as long as you have an open mind that we still haven't got this thing fully figured out. You could have a seat at the table somewhere in 2030, but if you lock in and you think that you understand, and you understand that we're still evolving, we're still trying things, strategies are still at play. Different methods and philosophies are being instilled to the next generation right now. 12 and 13 and 15-year-old kids right now are having instilled in them the skills and the mindset that we're not going to see for another half a decade. Now, that's a very exciting thing. But I will tell you, I was surprised at people that were still talking about well-rounded and who was more dynamic. I wouldn't need to see two guys fight to know that. I could go to their fight record on SureDog. I could see the finishes by strikes, the finishes by TKO, and the finishes by submission of Charles, and not see all of those things, same things for Islam. But we also go through waves in the sport, including day number 1, where a specialist has an advantage. Islam told anybody that will listen, I'm going to take him down. And when we go there, I'm going to get on top. And when I do, he's not going to submit me. I mean, Islam did tell us straight up what he was going to do. This was not a surprise. And Islam's now ranked number 3 in the world. Great. Islam appears to be drawing in to Volkanovski. Now, I love that match. And I love the consistency of Volk. Volk did not know if he would be in that cage setting up a future bout across from Oliveira or Islam, and he showed up anyway and he didn't flinch. I love that about Volk. Islam is now ranked number 3 pound for pound. Volk is ranked number 1. But the odds makers say that Islam is a 3 1/4 favorite, if you want to go real exact, right this second at DraftKings to beat Volkanovski. How'd we get there? Those things can't both be true. How is Volk number 1 in the world pound for pound? Islam's number 3, but Islam is favored to beat Volk. How did we get there? They can't both be true. So are the odds makers wrong, or are the people in the ranking room wrong? The odds makers will at least show themselves. The ranking room, we have no idea. We don't know if that's a team of people, if that's one person. We don't know if they work in Las Vegas. We don't know anything about them. Quite frankly, that's the way it should be. So we can't corrupt them. I'm just sharing for you when you hear me talk about my frustration. And then what happens if these two fight and Islam wins? Odds makers are going to pay up. The guy in the ranking room is going to adjust it, but nothing happens to him. The odds makers lose a bunch of money. Nothing happens to this guy. He just takes an eraser and flip-flops the two names. Which one is it? Is Volk better or is Islam better? These aren't just theories, right? When you want to talk about who's better between George St. Pierre and Francis Ngannou, now you're having a theory. Now you're having a conversation. These two boys are going to go and fight. So who's right? Who's right? Is it the people willing to bet their money and take a punishment if they get it wrong? Or is it the guy in the rankings room who's yet to be identified that's just going to take a pencil and switch it? They both can't be true. And I don't want to begrudge it. I do like the fact that we have a ranking system. What I don't like is the corruption through the ranking system where guys who get that little number next to their name that none of us give a damn about then refuse to fight other guys that don't have a big enough number next to their name. Now they're both in the same category, which isn't contenders and next to be. They both go into the category of we don't give a damn. This is my problem. That's why I'm going and discussing this. But now let's back up, because this is a fight that I told you 1 year ago was going to happen. You would not care. You would either disagree with me or you would not be interested. Islam versus Volkanovski. Now it can't get here fast enough, but what do you do when it gets here? I mean, you start to run into a problem where some very big decisions have to be made. Nothing is going on at 145 pounds. Max is being quiet because he's a gentleman. He was given his opportunity. He's being a gentleman. He doesn't want to be quiet, but he is. Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett just don't know which way is up. They don't know how to make anybody interested in anything, which is the reason they're being quiet. But it's a tremendous problem when you take a champion in one weight and you're going to put everything on hold to move him into another weight. You've now taken the morale out of the locker room. Why am I here? Why am I working every day? Why did I sign with you? Why is this the most important thing in my life if I don't even have an opportunity? If nobody has an opportunity, it's a big deal, except right now because the 145-pounders don't understand how to do this. They just don't. And the only retort you could have to what I just said is, yes, Chael, we do know how to do it. We don't want to fight Volkanovski. We're staying quiet on absolute purpose. Okay, that could also be the case. That could also be the case. But now it gives an ability for Volkanovski to go up and to take on Islam. What happens if Volk wins? Now, history says you drop the 45-pound strap. You drop the strap, put the psychology in the fans' minds that we can move on with 45. And whoever we crown to be the best truly is the best, because this guy is so big, he can no longer make the division. That is why you take and you run them with the higher belt. If you try to do them simultaneously, now you just screw everything up in terms of morale, as in terms of what's this for. And if you move them down to 45, whoever you bring in at 55 has an asterisk for the rest of his career. Because you know that the 45-pounder could make it. He's already come up and he's already beaten whoever your sitting reign is. That's just so you understand, when a guy wins 2 belts, why does he have to pursue the higher belt? That's why. Because of you, because of the audience, for your psychology, and that's how I would lay it out for you. So what would happen if Islam beats Volk? Okay, great. Volk just goes back down to 45. Is that right? He just lives with it? That could be done. I mean, I could give you a recent example of Adesanya. He didn't pursue it and chase it, and I'm going to get bigger and better and try this again. He just said, all right, look, I've got my lane. I've got it for now, and I'm going to go back here. That could be done. But what if he doesn't win? Do we then go to a rematch? What if it's controversial? What if it's close? What is like a Jan and O'Malley? And we just can't seem to agree. Do we go and do it again, and do we hold the divisions? I mean, it creates for a lot of problems. This is the right fight. This is the fight to make. But 2022 continues to be the year of MMA that I never would have predicted. We keep seeing new things. We keep seeing better things. We keep seeing more exciting things. They're just not what we expected. And how would you explain that? If you were to tell me that right now at the line, Islam is a 3-1 favorite to beat Volkanovski, but Volkanovski is ranked higher than Islam. And please don't bring weight into it. Whatever you do, don't tell me there's a difference in 145 and 155. Please don't do that. Don't reveal yourself to that level of coward publicly. It's the same thing. But the rankings and the odds are in direct contradiction of each other.